Stand by for Facebook. Okay, we're live on all our channels.
Okay. Jeff, it does appear that we have attendees, but I will mention that in case there are any issues. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. It is the August 18th, 2020 meeting of the Gallatin City Council. We're glad you're all here tonight. Before we get started, I did want to mention that we have been advised by Zoom, we don't know if we're having this issue, that there may be difficulty in people joining the Zoom meeting. If you were to be trying to join the Zoom meeting and are not able to, would you please email me? You can email me at paige.brown, that's PAIGE.brown @gallatintn.gov, and let me know if you're unable to access Zoom, because we want to make sure that those who are able to participate on Zoom may do so. We're getting ready to show you that information because the council has to vote to hold this meeting electronically. But if you're wanting to participate in the meeting and you've tried to join on Zoom and not been able, you do need to let us know. So before we begin the meeting, I'm going to read this so that the council may decide whether to hold this meeting electronically. It says, pursuant to Governor Lee's executive orders number 16, number 34, number 51, and the need to limit the community spread of COVID-19, the August 18th, 2020 Gallatin City Council meeting will be held by electronic means. The meeting will be live streamed to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the council and citizens of Gallatin. You may join the meeting at the link that you see there on Zoom. It's in blue. Or you may dial in at 470-381-2552 or 470-250-9358. The webinar ID for this meeting is 824-1352-8103. Of course, you can also view this meeting on our website at gallatintn.gov, or you can watch us on Facebook, or you can watch us on Comcast Channel 19. Again, I'm going to tell you that we were advised early today that they were having some issues with Zoom attendees. So please let me know if you're trying to participate in this meeting via Zoom and are not able to access the meeting. You can email me at paige.brown@gallatintn.gov. With that, I'd entertain a motion from this council to vote to hold this meeting electronically.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Overton to approve, a second by Councilman Fennell. Is there any discussion? Okay, we will have a roll call vote to have the vote. Ms. Kittrell, please.
Vice Mayor Camp, Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, we have a unanimous approval to hold this meeting electronically, so we will proceed. We will begin this meeting like we do each meeting with the invocation, and Councilman Alexander has graciously agreed yet again to offer prayer for us this evening. So Councilman Alexander.
Let us pray. Eternal gracious God, once again, we come with thanksgiving in our hearts. We thank you for this privilege and this opportunity to serve this great city. We pray, oh God, that I will be in the midst of this meeting. We pray, dear Lord, for all those who are stricken with the COVID-19. Thank you, dear Lord, for all the people that are serving in different capacities to take care of not only this city, but worldwide for the COVID-19 virus. Now, Lord, we pray that thou will bless us in such a way that everything we say and do in this meeting tonight will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name I do pray. And every heart said, amen.
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 Thank you, Councilman Alexander.
You're
At
welcome.
this time, Ms. Kittrell will call the official roll, please.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Present.
Councilman Alexander,
Present.
Councilman Fan,
Here.
Councilman Fennell,
Here.
Councilman Hayes,
Present.
Councilwoman Love,
Here.
and Councilman Overton.
Present.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Next, we have the approval of minutes. You have 3 sets of minutes tonight. These are the June 16th, 2020 City Council meetings, the July 7th, 2020 City Council meeting, and the July 21st, 2020 City Council meeting. So hope you've had a chance to review those and would entertain a motion to approve all 3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Alexander, a second by Councilman Overton. Are there any additions or corrections? All right, seeing none, I'll ask Ms. Kitchell to call the roll for the approval of the minutes.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. I wanted to let this council know that at this time, I've not received any notifications from anyone that has had trouble accessing the meeting. So I think we're okay to proceed with public comment. Right now is the time in the meeting where we do have public comment. This is the time where people may comment on any item that is on the evening's agenda. There's also a time at the end of the meeting where you can comment on items that are not on the agenda. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you introduce yourself, give us your address, and then speak to the topic that you wish to speak. Mr. Henschel is going to go through the list of attendees, and you will have an opportunity to speak.
Okay, very good. I believe this is David Brown number, but the phone number ending in 283. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
That's Brown.
Okay. We have a partial number that is 16154. I believe that is from a smartphone app. You have something you'd like to say?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Javance has raised his hand. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Michelle, and I'm at Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike. I just wanted to ask a question, basically the same thing from last week, because I didn't get the answer I wanted. I know about the Bledsoe Springs annexation with the fire department that's required, and I know you did address the fact that we have land already for it, but we didn't. You didn't address the how we're going to actually pay for the building the fire station and paying for the equipment and the fire truck and staffing it. So I would like to have that be discussed this evening, because I'm concerned about a possible tax increase to pay for that, and I want to know if that's going to happen or not, if we'll have a tax increase or not with this annexation. So people can't afford a tax increase right now. A lot of people are suffering with just losing income because of the pandemic, and a tax increase is not acceptable at this time. And I know that we just last night at the Meadows was approved at the county, and that actually had some other things with that plan of service, like I think it was 2 police cars and more police that were going to be required with that plan of service when that was annexed. And so I didn't know if that was something that was immediately going to be needed to be added and paid for, and how we're going to afford that, and if that was in our budget, because now we have that land that's in the city. So thank you very much. I look forward to hearing about that.
Okay, thank you. Andy Leith, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, sir. I'm just here to answer any questions on the 2 projects that I'm representing on the agenda tonight.
Very good. We've had a cell phone just join us. This is public comment. Cell phone ending in 594. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Okay. And lastly, Frank Marchese, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Not at this time. Thank you.
That's everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that concludes public recognition on agenda-related items. A reminder that we will have public recognition on items that aren't on the agenda at the end of the meeting. Mayor's comments, just a couple things I do want to mention. I'm going to share with you all that last week I was honored to participate on the panel for the Power of 10 put on by Cumberland Region tomorrow. It was done online, but very well done. They actually had us down at Stage Post Productions so that we could participate with all the folks from around our 10 county region that were participating in the meeting with us. And so that was a fun experience. Also, I think the big news of last week, everyone here knows that it was finally revealed that Woolhawk is now Facebook. And so there's a lot of excitement surrounding that. I know that there's a lot of criticism surrounding it too, but I hope that everyone is feeling very positive about it. I know I shared some things with you all last week, some emails that we had gotten and some, just interesting things that we've learned along the way, and how I firmly believe that this is going to be such a tremendous net positive for our community, and am looking forward to a future with them in our community. So that's been 3 years. And I want to say just my huge compliments to James Fenton and the Gallatin Economic Development Agency's board, because they've been working this project for all this time. His staff, Rosemary Bates, Jasmine Grimm, and then the board. So thanks for their diligent work on this. Also, thanks to the folks from Facebook. They've been wonderful to work with. And I want to say thank you to our department heads, because most of you have had very, very big roles in this. And I know utilities has worked tremendously hard on it. Our development departments, engineering, planning, codes will continue to be working hard on it. And I think pretty much all the other departments have touched it in some way. So thank you all for your efforts. This is truly a big land for the city of Gallatin. A huge capital investment in our community. And I want to mention one thing, because it's something that I've seen a lot, and I think it will help people to understand. For many years, it's been projected that there's actually going to be a workforce shortage in Middle Tennessee. Of course, COVID has impacted that, right? Well, COVID is eventually going to go away, and the workforce shortage is supposed to increase in the decades, or 2 decades to come. So for Middle Tennessee, really, the goal has been to attract this large capital investment with very high quality jobs, because that's going to help our community sustain, not take workers from existing industry, and help build our economic, long-term sustainability. So I just wanted to mention that. And I think that's all I'll say about that. Finally, I have a proclamation to share. In case you didn't know, today's a very, very special day. This is the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment that gave us females the right to vote. And so we are presenting a proclamation this evening. So I'm going to show it to you. I hope Jeff's going to put it on the screen. That's awesome. So I'm going to read it to you, and then we will proceed with the meeting. So this says, whereas on Women's Equality Day, we commemorate the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which secured for women the right to vote. And whereas the anniversary of this milestone is an appropriate time to reflect on the remarkable accomplishments of women in every facet of American life, and also an opportunity to honor women for their leadership and service to their families, their communities, and the nation. And whereas, in the same spirit of the 19th Amendment, we must continue to seek an environment of opportunity for all women as we celebrate the passion and unwavering dedication of the women who struggled and persevered in the fight for suffrage. And we recognize the countless ways that women strengthen the fabric of the nation. And whereas we all benefit from the leadership and ingenuity of women in education, medicine, government, law, business, military service, and every other field contributing to the greatness of this nation. Now, therefore, I, Paige Brown, Mayor of the City of Gallatin, do hereby recognize the commemoration of August 26, 1920 as Women's Equality Day, and celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, in which the women of America won their right to vote and furthered the opportunity for our country to strive for equal rights for all individuals. So there is that. And I would add that if you don't know about Tennessee's role in the women's right to vote, it's really interesting to learn about. And one certain vote that happened from our state. So check that out and learn the history of the role that Tennessee played. With that, I'll conclude Mayor's comments. I'll move now to the regular agenda. And we begin tonight with first reading on ordinance 02008-30. Councilwoman Love's recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $1 million from Project Woolhawk for the extension of Gateway Drive, and I so move.
Second.
A motion by Councilwoman Love, a second by Councilman Alexander. Opening the floor for any discussion. Seeing none, this is first reading on ordinance 02008-30, and I'll ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll for the vote.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. It does pass unanimously. Item 2 is first reading on ordinance 02008-32. Councilwoman Love.
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin rezoning a 13.76 plus or minus acre parcel from the agricultural residential district to the R15 medium density residential development district with a preliminary master development plan for Bella Vista located south of East Broadway near Martin Lane, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Love, a second by Councilman Overton. And is there any discussion?
Just that I like the way those houses looked from what we were shown earlier.
There's a lot going on in your district, Councilwoman Love.
Yes.
All right, seeing no one else wishing to discuss, this is first reading on ordinance 02008-32. Ms. Kittrell, if you call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Ordinance 02008-32 does pass unanimously. Item number 3 is first reading on ordinance 02008-33. Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance awarding bid and authorizing funds in the amount of $12,200,000 for water and sewer reserves for construction of sanitary sewer drainage, Basin A flow equalization basin, contract 120-2020, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Overton. I think that was second by Councilman Hayes. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02008-33. I'm sorry, Ms. Kittrell will call the roll for the vote.
Vice Mayor Camp, Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes. Councilwoman
Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Ordinance 02008-33 does pass unanimously. Item number 4, first reading, ordinance 02008-34. Councilwoman Love.
Thank you, Paige. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin rezoning 44.79 plus or minus acres and a 2.03 plus or minus acre portion of the adjacent abandoned railroad right-of-way from the RR Rural Residential District to High Density Residential Planned Residential Development District with a preliminary master development plan for Bledsoe Springs located north of Hartsville Pike and east of Airport Road, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. I move for discussion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Love, second by Jimmy Overton. Opening the floor for discussion.
Okay. I said that I opposed this last time when it was brought up. I have heard from several people who had told me they were calling into the meeting tonight, so I wish that they had, so that they could have let all of you know their problems with this. One of mine is that this is a rural area, and the surrounding neighborhoods have large lots. I really don't like this high density plan that's going in on it. I'm also worried about the added traffic. I mean, most of the day there's not a lot of traffic, but I've heard from at least 3 or 4 people this week that said that when they try to turn left there at Carolyn Lane and at Hollerman Lane and Hillside, that they feel like they're taking their lives in their hands, because there's so much traffic, especially from people coming down to work in Gallatin from Hartsville and Castellan Springs and those places. So I hate to have the city be responsible for adding more traffic onto that road in the mornings and in the afternoons. Also, I'm not sure about the fire department needing to add that fire station there. I mean, I know that it's going to be needed at some point. What I'm asking is, will this development be the straw that breaks the back, and that we have to have that fire department built with more firemen? And I know that Chief Bandy had said previously that more police officers would be needed to be hired if this was developed. And if we don't do that, then they're all just going to be stretched thinner and have to make their way out there. So I don't really like the idea of stretching our resources in those ways. So, you know, those are my problems with this whole annexation and development. I also was watching the Planning Commission meeting, and I know that they just barely passed this through and approved it by lowering, they did lower the number of houses for the high density, but I still feel like there's especially too many townhouses.
Anyone else wishing to discuss?
Has anyone else had any complaints or comments? I've only had 2 on the whole project.
I had some, Councilman Fan.
Do you know how many?
I think it was maybe 4.
Miss Love, how many people live in that area?
Well, I'm not positive about that because it's county, but.
Well, it depends on how far you want to go, right?
Yeah.
Right? If you go all the way to Castellan Springs, there's, you know, I don't know.
Is the entrance to Highway 25 below, well, is it at east or west of Carolyn Lane?
You mean this development is coming before Carolyn Lane?
West.
Well, okay. So it really shouldn't affect Carolyn Lane from the west.
Except for the traffic.
Well, the traffic should be coming toward Gallatin.
So people that are turning towards Gallatin from Carolyn Lane are having trouble doing that already.
No, I said that, but the entrance you're talking about, if it's west of Carolyn Lane, then it shouldn't affect those people coming that direction.
I see what you're saying, but it's just going to add more to it. I mean, when I was teaching school, I had a really hard time up at the Triangle trying to turn or to get on to join the traffic in the mornings.
I want to weigh in just on something that I haven't, I mean, it's probably been a year or more since I've even mentioned anything along these lines, but it does concern me. I feel like we're doing a lot of development far out from our core, and I kind of get it on the west side of Gallatin. And I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't do it on this side, that we shouldn't have development on this side of Gallatin. I do want it, but I really think that it's going to, at some point, compromise our ability to have a demand for housing in our core sector, if you will. I feel like that is the area that's already supported well with infrastructure, and planning for public safety. And honestly, I mean, and this follows my participation on that panel last week, really smart development. I mean, you want to have you want to have your development concentrated around your core and then kind of trickle out. I feel like our core has been developed for 200 years, right? And then we're going jump, 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 jump all over. And it's creating this whole, I don't know how to, I mean, I know in time that between there and here will be developed and will be serviced thoroughly. But I question, or it's one of the things that really concerns me that I feel like we've done a lot of. And it really would benefit us if we had some investors who are really willing to invest in redevelopment, or even some more high density in the periphery of the downtown area or out our South Water corridor. Or there are a lot of opportunities I think that exist in our older downtown, but it's so much easier to go outside, grab a large piece of land and develop it, kind of like we're seeing. The developments are feeling very similar to me, and so I'm wondering, where's the redevelopment coming from, and where is the variety in housing choices coming from? Because I'm really starting to feel like every development is very similar to every other development. And I don't mean that I don't mean that as any kind of criticism of any of the developers. We appreciate their interest and we appreciate them wanting to invest here, but I'm trying to think long-term, big picture, and what our housing options are going to look like as a whole. So I throw that out there as food for thought, because that is, something that I've been thinking about a lot.
Appreciate that, Mayor, and I totally agree, which is why I liked those houses on that other development down on on Broadway when I saw those houses. But out on Hartsville Pike, you're getting into rural country. People that live there have bought those houses or built them because they want to be in the county and in the country. On the west side of town, you're headed far closer into more urban areas. Hendersonville is not that far, Nashville's that way, but on this side of town, you're going more rural. And I think that if we put anything there, the houses need to be more in line with what the others that are already there. And while I'm talking, I'd like to ask Chief Williams if he believes that this will be the development that really causes us to need that fire station. Because in the past, we've all said that we need one, but that's somewhere down the road and not really right away. So Chief, what do you think of that?
I wouldn't necessarily, Ms. Love, say that this one development is going to be the catalyst for the fire station. What we were trying to communicate is that with the development that's currently going on in the industrial park, as well as the additional annexation and development that's taking place on the Hartsville Pike corridor, when you take all of that together, we're seeing such a growth in that area, and our response times aren't getting any better. So we wanted to go ahead and start that discussion on that. Now we're now nearing that time where we need to start to consider planning for and building that fire station out there to cover the east side of our city, and not just necessarily associated with Bledsoe Springs, but in conjunction of all of the development that's taking place in the industrial park and on the east side of the city.
Thank you. And that's what I pretty much was asking, because when I had asked about Project Woolhawk and if that was going to cause the necessity for the new fire station, the answer was no, that wasn't going to add enough to need it. But it does sound like with that and with this new development that is what I feared, that we will be needing to go ahead and start talking about a new fire station.
Well, I want to chime in back on I want to be clear on something I was saying. I don't believe that it's somewhere we're not going to bump up against rural territory, because we are. There's never something always meets something else that's not congruent. It has to, or we wouldn't be able to have different zones, right? But I just think, I just feel like planning is better to work from the core to the areas that are available for annexation when the city of Gallatin needs those. The other thing I've been thinking about that I'll just again throw out there is food for thought. And I've had this discussion before with some of the folks in our planning department, including Mr. McCord, that there are some opportunities perhaps to create a way where we can allow more high density development if those developers can help preserve some green space, even if it's not on that site, but perhaps in a different site in our community. Or maybe it's paying into a fund where we're then able to purchase and preserve green space. So I really hope that we can go down that path at some point, because there's value in density, but there's cost in density. And so, and the cost, of course, to me is losing the scenic beauty that kind of makes our community look like it looks. And we know that we're going to fill up with more and more business and homes. And so we're going to have that land that someone preserves. And obviously everybody who owns land, their land is worth something and they need to be compensated for it. And so, like we purchased some land a couple of years ago. I think we're going to look to do more of that in the future, because we can't deny folks the right to be compensated for their land. We can't condemn their land just to preserve it, but we can purchase it at fair market value, or they may donate it. But I'll stop chattering on this topic. Mr. Fennell, were you about to say something when I jumped in again? I apologize.
Yeah, I agree pretty much with the mayor and Linda. I've thought about this. I didn't really like from the get-go the density in that particular area, even though my business is nearby. I just think that I'm not a big fan of the townhouses over there and how many townhouses are building and the density of that development. I'm not going to support this development.
I think I would be more willing to be pleased about or accepting of annexation if there was not if there wasn't this high density plan and all these townhouses.
Any other discussion, you all?
I like this property. Y'all keep talking about being rural. Am I mistaken? Does this property join Sunnymead on one side and Gosper Park on the other side, commercial property on the other side, and a highway on the other side? So how is this a rural property?
I would say it's neighborhoods all around, but it's neighborhoods with larger lots. It's not that different than what we're looking at in other parts of the community, but my concerns my concerns are about development as a whole and not necessarily the specific one. So, but Mr. McCord, you may want to answer that too for Mr. Camp.
Zane, do you have anything to say too?
Property is designated in our comp plan for suburban residential established, even though it's essentially a farm. The Planning Commission did approve the annexation and the rezoning, but they did reduce the total number of units from 204 to 183. So there was a reduction in density in that area. It is adjacent to industrial on the west. So that's a high intensity type of use that has central sewer. And that's one of the things that's driving a lot of these properties being developed is their access to sewer for the higher densities. If it were lower density, probably wouldn't have sewer. It was zoned until just recently by the city for R15 zoning. So to allow at least 15,000 square foot lots, and you can probably get somewhere in the neighborhood of 110 to 130 lots in there if it were under the old city zoning. The county passed a new zoning resolution at the end of June, which took away the city's zoning in the planning region and essentially assigned rural residential with 40,000 square foot lots to all properties, practically all properties surrounding the city in the planning region, which would limit development of the property to about, well, somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 30 to 40 units. Now, that's also assuming that there would be no sewer because the county doesn't provide sewer. So this property's been in the urban growth boundary and in the planning region since 1973. And it is adjacent to the city. As Mr. Camp said, there's office residential zoning. It's a commercial type zoning immediately to the west. The properties across Hartsville Pike are established residential, roughly acre lots, or a little larger. And the properties to the east are also zoned R15, or at least they were until the county rezoned them rural residential and created some non-conforming lots over there. So we have a lot of other developments that have a mixture of single-family homes and townhomes that are some distance from the city, namely Carrollton, which I think most of you are familiar with, which also includes attached townhome units within that development. So it's not unheard of. We don't get as much development on the east side of town, but most of it's occurred on the west side of town. But this is consistent with the comp plan, and again, the Planning Commission did recommend approval.
Another question, Bill, the backside of the subdivision across the road, hillside and holler and stuff, the back part of that, the lots aren't 40,000 square feet back there either, are they?
Yeah, further down towards Cairo Road, there's a different subdivision. You may not notice much when you drive through there, but there's a Cairo Landing subdivision, which has city sewer, but it's not in the city limits. And it's just to the east of Cairo Estates, which is a newer subdivision. And those lots are smaller. I think that's I believe a R15 PRD zoning. But they have sewer, so that's why they have smaller lots in there.
Thank you, Bill.
Anyone else wishing to discuss further? Okay, this is going to be first reading on ordinance 02008-34. Ms. Kittrell, if you would call the roll for the vote, please.
Wait a minute, we've never had a motion yet, have we?
Miss Love made the motion for discussion, and
Mr. Overton. Overton second.
Yeah, there hasn't been a motion made to approve or deny.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Kittrell.
I have a motion, Mayor, made by Ms. Love for discussion, and Councilman Overton seconded.
Okay, and so then we then have a motion for approval, and then the second. There you go.
I do not have the motion for.
Who made the motion for approval? Was it
Mr. Overton?
Okay, Mr. Overton, and then you seconded it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So motion for approval by Councilman Overton, second by Councilman Alexander. Now allowing us to vote on it. Ms. Kittrell, if you call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Camp.
Aye.
Councilman Alexander.
Yes.
Councilman Fan.
Yes.
Councilman Fennell.
No.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Love.
No.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, we have 5 ayes and 2 noes.
Okay, so first reading on ordinance 02008-34 is approved with a 5-2 vote. Thank you. Moving to resolution R2008-43, Councilman Fan is recognized.
This is a resolution accepting a grant from MAB America LLC in the city of Gallatin, Tennessee, for the use and benefit of the city of Gallatin in support of the Town Creek Tributary Watershed Study. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilman Alexander. Anyone wishing to discuss? Okay, seeing no one, this is resolution R2008-43. Ms. Kittrell will call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Camp.
Aye.
Councilman Alexander.
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton,
Yes.
Mayor 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Resolution R2008-43 does pass unanimously. Item number 6 is resolution R2008-44. Councilman Fennell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign contract 320-2020 with Crom LLC. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Councilman Alexander. I will explain that this is for the construction of the water storage tank in the industrial park. The amount is $1.4 million. So any discussion on this? Seeing none, this is resolution R2008-44. Ms. Kittrell will call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love, Councilman
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Mayor 7 ayes, 0 nays.
A resolution R2008-44 does pass unanimously. Item 7 is resolution R2008-45. Vice Mayor Camp is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign contract 4/20/2020 with the Infinity Pipeline Incorporated. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Camp, second by Councilman Alexander. Opening the floor for discussion. Okay, I will also share that this is for the installation of water line additions in the industrial park as well. The amount is $742,390. So with that, I will ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Aye.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton,
Yes.
Mayor 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Resolution R2008-45 passes unanimously. That concludes the regular agenda, bringing us now to other business. Is there anyone on this council that has other business to bring before us this evening?
Mayor, I didn't notice in your comments earlier when you opened up the meeting, do you have an update on our COVID situation here in Gallatin?
Let's see if
How we stand percentage?
Remember, we can't get the number specific for Gallatin, but
Are we going in a positive direction, I guess?
we are in a better direction. I did hear today when Governor Lee was giving his update that let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to open a spreadsheet so I can share with you information. Oh, and it just shut on me. I'll get it for you in just a second. But I did see today in Governor Lee's address that today they had the highest number of deaths in the state of Tennessee since the pandemic began. And of course, that's not good news. The numbers statewide have been fairly constant for a while. Sumner County's numbers have been trending down. We had a good couple of days in the just the last few days in the teens. I'm trying to pull this number up for you.
Mayor, it was 16 today. There was one more death.
In Gallatin, in Sumner County.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to share with you. Here it is. It's opening. It's opening. So on the 17th, we had 13 new cases. On the 16th, we had 14 new cases. The 14th and 15th, we had 43 and 41. And then last week we had one day in the teens and then 3 days in the 20s and in the 30s. But those are all an improvement over the days a couple of weeks ago when we were seeing numbers in the 50s and 60s. So I would love to see those numbers in the teens continue today. Mr. Kemp, do you recall what the number of new cases was today? Because I haven't added that to my spreadsheet yet.
16 today.
16. So that's 3 days in the teens. Maybe we can
Right.
continue on that track.
We've had a
You know,
death every day also.
it's it's no one thought we'd still be here, right? We thought that it would have been gone by now, and we were expecting it to come back in the wintertime, but we haven't really gotten away from it yet. I do appreciate, like I have said several times, our city department heads and our city employees who have just been true champs in working through this virus and continuing to take care of our citizens during this very, very difficult time. And our department heads have had to manage multiple absences for people who are either being quarantined because they've been exposed or they've been tested. And then we've had several employees who have actually had COVID. So, I mean, just really, truly champs. And honestly, I think we're all going to be better and stronger on the other side. We just want to get to the other side, right? So thank you for asking about that, Councilman Alexander. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Paige, does that number include children that are in school?
That's a comprehensive number. That is from the state, and that is the new positive tests that come up each day. You also, on the Tennessee, if you Google Tennessee coronavirus, it'll take you to the Tennessee data site, and there are lots of sets of data you can download. The one that I typically look at is one that says county new, and then if you sort that, it's a spreadsheet. And if you sort that by county, you can kind of see the trends. But each day they share with you how many tests were given. So to give you an example, yesterday there were there were 188 tests. Is that right? No, that was the total number of tests. And so, but they may not have results back on some, but so it's showing there were 18 negative tests yesterday and 15 positive tests, but that's out of 18. So I'm not sure exactly how that data is working out because they have kind of changed some things as they've done it each time. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong header. The new negative tests from yesterday were 188. The positives were 18. That makes better sense. So the total number of tests were 206. So that's kind of an interesting way to track it and kind of see where we are, because remember, you hear talk a lot about that percent of positivity rate. And so that's where that comes from. But yeah, it includes people of all ages. Oh, the thing I was going to say is in that data set, you can also see the age of the people that have tested positive. They break it down, I think it's like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, and it's like by every age group. And so you can actually see the trend. And as it's been for quite some time, the higher number of diagnoses are in that teenage group and in that 20s group.
Thanks.
Anyone else with other business this evening? Not seeing anybody. We're going to move on to public recognition. This is the time of the meeting that people can speak to something that's not on the agenda. We would welcome you to do that. We'll do like we did at the beginning of the meeting. Mr. Henschel will go through the people that are on the call. And if you have a comment, you may speak for 5 minutes. We ask that you introduce yourself, share your address with us. Mr. Henschel?
Yes, Frank Marchese has raised his hand. Go ahead.
Thank you. Frank Marchese, 589 Harris Lane. I'm still looking for some kind of update on the Harris Lane Long Hollow situation. We had something out here happen tonight where actually a tractor trailer had to back up on Harris Lane all the way to get out because something happened at the pork chop area. I just want to know, I know that the traffic study was scheduled to be done on the 8th and 9th or 7th and 8th. I don't think that we have results back from that yet, but I'm going to keep coming to the council with my concerns about this intersection until something is done about it. Still, we still have cars speeding down Harris Lane. We still have, people making left-hand turns. It's just a dangerous intersection that needs to be addressed. And I'm coming to again asking, what can we do?
Lance, have we got the study back yet?
So speaking with Nick this morning, we don't have the study back yet. We have traffic camera footage that counts the cars to make the illegal maneuvers. And we're actually processing that data. Some of that data didn't come through. We had to go back out and get do some faulty equipment. But we're still working on getting that in traffic study input together and analyzing everything. So it's not forgotten about. It's still there. It's just still being studied.
I mean, I've asked, can we do several different things? Can we lower the speed limit on the street? Can we make it a cul-de-sac? Can we make it a one-way? Can we make it a dead end? Can we do something that I can feel safe walking down this street?
I don't have the answers to that right now in front of me. We depend on the traffic study and the traffic engineers to kind of guide us in that direction. So that the outcome of that will be more in the traffic study. So I would just say kind of stay tuned for that.
I understand. Thank you, Mr. Wagner. I do understand we're waiting for the study, but we do have, eyes on the intersection. We have, me, myself, my household, my neighbors, sheriffs. I have sheriffs that are neighbors who see this all the time. I don't have to, I really wish I didn't have to come every month and repeat myself to you guys.
I hear you, and I understand where you're coming from.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the cell phone ending in 060, and I would encourage others on if you're on PC to use the raise your hand function. Okay, cell phone 060, do you have something you'd like to say? All right, that's everyone.
Mayor, you're muted.
Hello?
There you
All
go.
right, so sorry. With that, no other business or public comment, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. We look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great evening, and one day we'll see each other again in person. Y'all take care, stay well, and stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, y'all.
Chocolate.